We've all been there. That conversation that left a knot in your stomach. That relationship that drained you more than it filled you. That moment when you walked away from someone, but their words stayed behind.
Them rickety vans,
Toxic behavior
them buses,
isn't
them
always
charter
loud.
buses. When the
Sometimes
train
it's quiet
station
manipulation, a
in
guilt trip
downtown
disguised as
been
love.
already fixed.
A passive
If it
jab
was the same
masked as a
problem,
joke.
why is it taking longer to
And if
fix
you're
in
not
our
emotionally grounded,
neighborhoods?
it's easy to get caught in the web,
Why is the
spinning,
train taking so long to fix? We got places to
again
be.
and again. But emotionally intelligent people, they don't just survive those moments.
You want to
They
know what I
transform
gotta
them.
say?
They don't take the bait. They see the
Jersey
trap.
City
They feel the tension,
is so
but they don't let it
diverse.
shape them. They
So
choose to
why
grow
do
through
we
it,
treat
not
black
just go
people
through
the way we do?
Just
Oh,
go
we
through
need
it.
we need a
This
minute.
isn't about being
Right
perfect.
here.
It's not about never getting hurt. It's about knowing what to do after you've been hurt. Knowing how to protect your peace, guard your values, and turn pressure into clarity. Emotionally intelligent people aren't superhuman. They're just deeply self-aware. And that awareness becomes their power. This speech isn't just about recognizing toxic behavior. It's about outgrowing it. It's about learning how to respond without losing yourself, and how to walk away with peace instead of carrying the poison. Let's talk about how the emotionally intelligent turn life's toughest traps into their greatest turning points. Let's be honest, when someone pushes your buttons, when someone says something cruel, passive-aggressive, or just plain toxic, the most natural instinct is to fire back, to react, to defend yourself, to prove a point. It's human, it's emotional, and in the moment, it even feels justified. But here's the thing, reacting emotionally to toxic behavior is exactly what toxic people want. They thrive on the chaos. They feed on emotional instability. And every time we react from impulse, we give them exactly what they were looking for: control. Emotionally intelligent people do it differently. They've learned how to pause. They've learned that just because something feels urgent doesn't mean it deserves a response. Right now, they create space between what's said and what they do about it. And in that space, that's where power lives. Because here's what most people don't realize: the ability to pause, to reflect, to choose your response, that's not passivity. That's mastery. That's self-regulation at its finest. It's choosing not to be hijacked by someone else's dysfunction. It's knowing that your peace is more valuable than being right, more valuable than winning the argument, more valuable than proving a point to someone who has no interest in understanding you anyway. Toxic behavior is often designed to trigger you. It's bait. It comes dressed up as criticism, or sarcasm, or control. But when you respond with presence instead of panic, with awareness instead of anger, you strip the toxicity of its power. You keep your center. And suddenly, the person who came to stir chaos finds themselves standing in silence because you didn't take the bait. That doesn't mean you let it slide. It doesn't mean you pretend nothing happened. But it means you decide how and when to engage. You don't hand over your emotional control just because someone else lost theirs. You don't match their volume just to feel heard. Emotionally intelligent people understand this. Not every insult needs a comeback. Not every provocation deserves a performance. Sometimes the strongest move is no move at all. And it's not easy. Responding instead of reacting is one of the most difficult disciplines to master. It takes restraint, it takes patience, and most of all, it takes self-awareness. You have to know what triggers you. You have to be honest about your patterns. You have to recognize the exact moment your ego wants to jump in and fight, and then breathe through it. Delay is your superpower. Just a few seconds can be the difference between escalation and elevation. There's a quote that says, "You can't control someone else's behavior, but you can control how you respond to it." That's the core of emotional intelligence. It's not about controlling the world, it's about controlling your world, your thoughts, your tone, your energy. And once you learn that, once you understand how to anchor yourself when others are unraveling, you become unshakable. This isn't just about self-preservation, by the way. It's about leadership. Emotional intelligence in the face of toxicity
Taking
sends a
them
message,
rickety
not just to the
vans,
person who tried to
them
drag you
buses,
down, but to
them
everyone
charter
watching.
buses.
It tells the room,
When the
don't
train
play
stations
small.
here in downtown
Don't
been
match
already
dysfunction.
fixed, if it was the
Rise above
same
it.
problem, why is it taking longer
When
to fix
people
in
see
our
that kind of
neighborhoods?
emotional composure, they will
Why is the train taking so long to fix? We got
because it's
places
rare
to be.
and powerful. Let's face it, anyone can yell, anyone can clap back, anyone can let their
You want to
emotions
know
take
what
over.
I gotta say?
But it takes strength to stay calm in the
Jersey
chaos.
City
To ask,
is so
what's
diverse.
really going on here? Instead of
So
reacting
why
to the
do
surface
we
level
treat
drama.
black people the
To
way
see
we
past the
do?
behavior and
Oh, we need
recognize the
we need a
insecurity
medic
behind it.
right here.
That kind of clarity comes from doing the inner work, from being honest with yourself, from building your own emotional foundation so solid that no one else can shake it. And when you live from that place, when you lead from that place, you don't just handle toxic behavior, you outgrow it. You stop attracting it. You stop engaging with it. Because the moment you realize your peace is more powerful than their poison, the game changes. So the next time someone tries to rattle you, remember, you don't have to react. You don't have to explain. You don't have to prove anything. You get to choose, and that choice is everything. You can't control what they do, but you can control what it does to you, and that's how you win. Toot. Most people were never taught how to set boundaries. In fact, for a lot of us, the very idea of saying a no feels selfish, even rude. We're conditioned to believe that being agreeable is the same as being kind, that putting others first is always noble, and that avoiding conflict is the path of least resistance. But emotionally intelligent people have unlearned that narrative. So is that narrative. They understand that real kindness includes self-respect, and self-respect starts with boundaries. Let's make this clear. Boundaries are not about shutting people out. They're not punishments or ultimatums. They're clarity. Boundaries are a way of saying, this is what I will allow into my life, and this is what I won't. And that's not arrogance. That's alignment. Emotionally intelligent people recognize that they cannot control others, but they can absolutely control access. And who you give access to shapes your peace, your energy, your growth. Toxic behavior thrives in environments with no boundaries. Why? Because toxic people count on your silence. They rely on your discomfort with confrontation. They love the fact that you'll tolerate what makes you feel small just to keep the peace. But here's the truth. Peace that costs your dignity, your time, your sanity. It's not peace. It's people-pleasing, and it's draining. People with emotional intelligence don't draw boundaries from anger. They draw them from awareness. They've learned to say, this isn't working for me, without flinching. They don't wait for permission. They don't second-guess their right to protect their space. Because they know this, your energy is your responsibility. No one else is going to protect it for you. And you'll notice something interesting when you start setting boundaries. The healthy people in your life, they'll respect them. They might not always agree, but they'll honor them. The toxic ones, they'll get loud. They'll accuse you of changing, of being difficult, of becoming selfish. And that's when you know your boundary is working. Because the only people who get upset when you draw a line are the ones who are benefiting from you having none. Now, setting a boundary isn't a one-time event. It's not a sentence you say once and everything magically changes. It's a process. It's consistency. It's how you show up every day. It's walking away when someone crosses the line, not just warning them. It's reinforcing that you are not a doormat for someone else's disrespect. And here's the hardest part. Sometimes the people you need to set boundaries with are the ones you love the most. Family, friends, partners, coworkers, and it hurts. Because you don't want distance, you just want respect. But emotionally intelligent people understand this difficult truth. Love without boundaries is not love, it's attachment. An attachment without clarity becomes chaos. One of the biggest shifts emotionally intelligent people make is letting go of the idea that they're responsible for everyone else's feelings. When you start to assert your needs, when you say no, when you express discomfort,
them rickety vans,
people might be disappointed.
them buses,
They might even
them
get
charter
angry.
buses. When the
But
train
you don't owe
stations
anyone the version
here
of you
in
that sacrifices
downtown been
yourself
already
just to make
fixed.
them
If it was the
comfortable.
same problem, why
That
is it taking
version of
longer
you
to
is
fix in
surviving,
our
not thriving.
neighborhoods?
Let's flip the script here.
Why is the
What
train
if setting
taking so long
boundaries
to
isn't
fix? We got
selfish?
places to be.
What if it's sacred? What if it's the exact thing that protects your purpose, your peace, and your
You want to
presence in
know
the
what I gotta
world?
say?
Because when you don't spend all your
Jersey
energy managing
City
other people's reactions,
is so
you get to show up
diverse.
more fully, more
So
clearly,
why do
more
we treat
authentically.
black people
And
the
isn't
way
that the
we
whole
do? Oh,
point?
we need a medic.
Here's the
right
truth.
here.
You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. If you tolerate disrespect, it will continue. If you tolerate manipulation, it will continue. But the moment you raise your standards, not with anger, but with firmness, the game changes. Not just in that relationship, but in every area of your life. You become someone who honors their time, their values, their needs. You become someone others can trust because you trust yourself enough to be honest. And when you do this work, something beautiful happens. The people who respect your boundaries start to rise to meet them. Your relationships get deeper, cleaner, stronger. And the people who don't, they start to fall away, not because you push them out, but because they can no longer reach you at the level you've grown into. It's not easy. But it's worth it, because at the end of the day, boundaries are not walls to keep others out. They are doors that help you decide what kind of life you want to live, and who gets to walk with you in it. You don't need permission to protect your peace. You just need the courage to say, this is who I am, and this is what I no longer accept. And when you say it with clarity and consistency, the world adjusts. Most people walk into toxic situations thinking they have to defend themselves, explain themselves, or somehow prove their worth. And that's exactly where emotionally intelligent people take a different route. They don't absorb the chaos, they observe it. They observe it. They've developed the discipline to step back, not step in. And that shift, it changes everything. When someone lashes out, when someone's being passive aggressive, manipulative, or just flat out negative, most people get pulled in emotionally. They feel attacked. They get defensive. They try to fix the situation or fix the person. But emotionally intelligent people have learned that not every fire requires their fuel. They understand that not all conflict needs their emotional signature on it. So instead of reacting with heat, they respond with awareness. It's almost like emotional jujitsu. They don't meet force with more force. They absorb the moment without letting it settle in their core. They listen, they notice, and they evaluate, but they don't let that toxic energy live rent-free in their mind. Because they know this. Just because someone throws you emotional garbage doesn't mean you have to catch it. See? Observation is a powerful tool. It's not passive, it's strategic. When you observe, you gather data. You start to see patterns in people. You notice when the same behaviors keep showing up. You start connecting dots between what someone says and how they actually show up. And over time, this builds your emotional intelligence muscle. You stop being surprised by toxic behavior because you recognize it early. You've seen this movie before, and now you know how it ends. One of the most freeing things emotionally intelligent people realize is that someone's toxic behavior isn't about them. It's about the other person. That's sarcasm. It's often insecurity. That controlling nature, it's usually fear disguised as dominance. That criticism, often a projection of their own self-loathing. When you observe rather than absorb, you start to see the root beneath the reaction. And that changes how you respond, not with anger, but with insight. Now that doesn't mean you excuse it. It doesn't mean you tolerate it, but it does mean you don't take it personally. Because the moment you take it personally, you make it yours. And it was never yours to carry. Have you ever left a conversation and felt emotionally exhausted, but couldn't quite explain why? That's the cost of emotional absorption. It's carrying someone else's unresolved tension in
Them
your own
rickety
nervous system.
vans, them
Emotionally
buses,
intelligent people
them
can set
charter
themselves
buses.
free from that trap.
When the train station
They know how to
here
stay present
in
without
downtown
getting
been already
pulled under.
fixed, if it was the same
They
problem,
give
why is it
empathy
taking longer to
without
fix in our
sacrificing their own
neighborhoods?
stability. One thing they do
Why is the
exceptionally
train
well is
taking so long to fix? We
they
got
build a mental
places to
gap
be.
between what happened and how they respond. That pause, that tiny moment of space, is where power is.
You want to know
In
what I
that
gotta
space,
say?
they get to ask,
Jersey City is
is this
so
about
diverse.
me? Or is this about
So
something
why
unspoken
do
in
we
them?
treat
That
black
single
people
question
the
allows
way
them to
we
keep their
do?
center.
Oh, we
It
need
gives
a
them
we need a
leverage in
minute.
moments most people
Right
lose
here.
control. And here's the thing, being observational instead of absorptive isn't cold. It's not distant. It's mature. It's grounded. It's what allows them to stay compassionate without becoming casualties of someone else's dysfunction, because they know their worth isn't up for debate just because someone else is having a bad day. There's also an interesting shift in posture when someone moves from absorption to observation. They don't flinch when things get messy. They don't scramble to smooth it all out. They let discomfort sit not because they enjoy it, but because they know truth often hides in discomfort. And by observing, they make better decisions, not emotionally charged ones, but intentional ones. In a world that rewards quick reactions, emotionally intelligent people take pride in thoughtful restraint, but a restraint. They understand that the strongest voice in the room doesn't have to be the loudest. Sometimes the most powerful person in the room is the one who says the least, but sees the most. There's an old saying that goes, not everything deserves a response. But I'd take that further, not everything deserves your peace. And if you're constantly absorbing every sharp word, every shift in tone, every ounce of someone else's stress, you'll lose touch with your own emotional clarity. But when you learn to observe, to stand in awareness instead of reaction, you reclaim your emotional real estate. You stop being a sponge and start being a mirror. And mirrors don't absorb, they reflect. They show the truth. They stay whole. They remain clear. And in a world that constantly tries to drag you into noise, clarity is a quiet revolution. So the next time someone brings chaos to your doorstep, don't invite it in. Just notice it. Watch it. Learn from it. But don't wear it. Don't own it. Because what you don't absorb can't control you. Most people confuse empathy with weakness. They think it means letting people walk all over you, tolerating bad behavior, or becoming some emotional doormat in the name of being a kind. But real empathy, the kind emotionally intelligent people practice, isn't soft. It's powerful. It's strength under control. It's standing in front of toxicity, not with a sword, but with understanding. And here's the twist. It's often far more disarming. Emotionally intelligent people don't let ego take the driver's seat when they're confronted with negativity. Instead of puffing up, shutting down, or lashing out, they lean in with curiosity. They're not seeking to win a shouting match or to one-up someone in conflict. They're trying to understand. Not to excuse the behavior, but to see beneath it. They know there's usually more to the story than what's being said. And while everyone else is triggered by the surface, they're tuned into the deeper frequency. It takes an incredible amount of self-control to do that. To choose empathy when insulted. To stay calm when being misunderstood. To stay calm when being misunderstood. To listen when attacked. But emotionally intelligent people have trained themselves to look at every human interaction through a wider lens. They ask questions like, what's hurting this person? What fear are they covering up? What unmet need is driving this reaction? This reaction. But that doesn't mean they agree with the behavior. That doesn't mean they stick around for abuse. But they don't make the moment about pride or power. They choose to lead with emotional wisdom, not ego defense. And that subtle shift changes the entire energy of the interaction. Think about the last time someone was rude or dismissive or combative with you. What happened next probably had more to do with your reaction than their action. That's what emotionally intelligent people recognize. Ego turns every
Them
disagreement
rickety
into a battle,
vans,
but
them
empathy
buses,
gives
them
you
charter buses.
options.
When the train station
It's not about
here
surrendering
in
your voice.
downtown
It's
been
about
already
choosing
fixed.
how
If it was
and
the
when to
same
use it
problem,
so
why
it
is it taking
actually
longer to
lands.
fix in our neighborhoods?
Now, there's a common misconception of
Why is
empathy
the train
that can be
taking so
taken
long to
advantage
fix?
of.
We got places
That
to
if you
be.
show too much compassion, toxic people will just manipulate you. But that's only true
You want to
if
know what I
empathy
gotta
isn't
say?
backed by boundaries. Emotionally
Jersey
intelligent people do
City
both.
is so diverse.
They lead with empathy, but they
So
enforce
why do
boundaries
we
like
treat
pros.
black people
They
the
can
way we
say,
do?
I
Oh,
understand
we
why
need
you're
we
upset,
need a medic.
and still say,
Right here.
but I won't tolerate being disrespected. That's not contradiction. That's balance. They've learned that empathy isn't about fixing people. It's about seeing them clearly, even when they're acting out, even when they're hurting others, even when they're hurting you. That kind of vision gives them leverage in the moment. It keeps their reactions grounded, because when you can see through the tantrum, the criticism, the manipulation, and still stay centered, you're no longer controlled by the chaos. And here's something deeper: leading with empathy doesn't just protect them from being reactive, it allows them to walk away without hate. Emotionally intelligent people don't carry resentment like a trophy. They don't rehearse conversations in their head or fantasize about revenge. They process, they learn, and they move on clean. Because their empathy isn't just directed at others, it extends to themselves too. They know peace doesn't come from being right, it comes from being aligned. You'll notice that people with high emotional intelligence tend to diffuse tension even in charged environments. It's not because they dominate the room. It's because they stay anchored while everyone else is drifting. Their empathy builds trust. It opens space for honesty. And sometimes that's exactly what toxic situations need: a crack of light in the middle of all the noise. When someone lashes out, most people mirror that energy. Emotionally intelligent people don't mirror it, they neutralize it. They don't match anger with more anger. They don't meet drama with more drama. They bring presence. They bring clarity. And sometimes they bring silence. They bring silence because not every moment requires a reply, but every moment benefits from awareness. At the end of the day, emotionally intelligent people understand one simple truth: people are complicated, and most of the time, toxic behavior comes from unhealed pain. That doesn't mean they excuse it. It doesn't mean they allow it. But they refuse to meet fire with fire. They choose to meet it with something that actually transforms the situation. So the next time you're faced with a toxic interaction, try this. Don't ask, "How do I win this?" Ask a "What's really going on here, and how do I lead through it?" That shift changes everything. That's where growth starts. That's how we rise above it all, not with noise, but with depth. And when you can lead with empathy while standing firm in your truth, you don't just outsmart toxic behavior, you outgrow it. Because emotional strength doesn't yell, it listens, it sees, and then it chooses better, every single time. Most people experience pain and instantly try to escape it. It's human nature. We avoid what hurts. We numb it, distract from it, deny it. But emotionally intelligent people do something radically different. They lean in, not because they enjoy suffering, but because they understand something most don't. Pain is a powerful teacher, and when you stop running from it, you can actually use it. That's what sets them apart. They don't just endure pain, they transmute it. They turn it into fuel. When something toxic happens, whether it's betrayal, manipulation, rejection, or harsh criticism, they don't spiral into self-doubt or let bitterness take root. They sit with it. They ask, "What can this teach me?" Not in a fake positive silver lining kind of way, but with real curiosity. They want to grow. They're committed to becoming better, not bitter. You see, emotionally intelligent people recognize that life isn't about avoiding struggle. It's about learning from it. Learning from it. Every toxic interaction, every tough conversation, every emotional blow becomes raw material for wisdom. They don't wait for perfect circumstances to improve. They let the hard moments
Them
shape
rickety
them,
vans, them
not break
buses,
them.
them charter buses, when the train stations here in
Most people think growth
downtown been
comes from
already
success, but real
fixed.
growth,
If
the
it was
kind
the
that
same
changes how
problem,
you see
why is it taking
yourself,
longer to fix
how
in
you
our
treat others, how you
neighborhoods?
carry yourself. It usually
Why
comes
is the
after
train
you've
taking so long to
when you've
fix?
had
We
to
got places to
rebuild,
be.
when you've had to question everything and still choose to believe in yourself. That's the edge of emotional intelligence.
You want to know what I gotta say? Jersey
They know pain
City
can refine you
is
if you let
so
it.
diverse.
And here's the thing.
So
It's not just
why
about
do we
bouncing back.
treat black
It's about
people the
bouncing
way we
forward.
do? Oh,
Resilience isn't just
we need a
recovery.
medic.
It's
Right here.
transformation. Emotionally intelligent people don't just go through things, they grow through them. Shh. Foik. They take the feedback, the heartbreak, the toxic fallout, and instead of blaming or playing the victim, they ask, "What does this reveal about me? What patterns am I repeating? Where do I still need to heal?" At that level of self-awareness, that's uncomfortable, but it's also freeing. Because when you use pain as a mirror, you stop fearing it. You stop letting toxic people control your emotions. You stop clinging to old versions of yourself just to stay safe. You become more honest, more grounded, more powerful. Powerful. So there's something deeply liberating about realizing that even the worst moments can serve a purpose. That doesn't mean you invite toxicity. It means you mine the experience for meaning. Emotionally intelligent people don't waste energy trying to change toxic people. They change how they respond to them. And in that response lies their power. They'll take the lessons and walk away stronger. They'll take the wound and build wisdom. They'll take the chaos and create clarity. Because they don't see emotional pain as an obstacle, they see it as a portal, a gateway to deeper strength, deeper awareness, and deeper peace. Think about it. Some of the most emotionally grounded people you've ever met didn't get that way by coasting through life. They got there by facing darkness and choosing not to become it. They experienced manipulation and chose integrity. They were lied to and still chose to speak truth. They were rejected and still chose to love. That's the real alchemy, turning pain into purpose, turning anger into boundaries, turning fear into compassion. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. If you want to evolve, if you want to rise, if you want to break cycles, you have to be willing to let pain teach you, not just touch you. And let's be clear, this isn't about perfection. Emotionally intelligent people feel everything deeply. They cry, they get angry, they get hurt, but they don't stay stuck. They process it, they extract the lesson, and then they move forward with intention. You don't need to become hard to survive toxic experiences. You need to become whole. That's what emotional intelligence does. It helps you integrate the pain, not suppress it. It helps you learn how to be strong and soft, clear and kind, unshakable and open. Because the real flex isn't pretending you're unaffected. It's allowing yourself to be affected without losing yourself. That's how you turn toxic traps into personal transformation. That's how you take back your power without ever needing revenge. That's how you grow into someone who no longer needs the toxic story to define them. So the next time life tests you, when someone mistreats you, when a situation crumbles, when emotions feel overwhelming, pause. Ask what the pain is trying to teach you. Let it speak. Let it guide you. Let it shape you. And then stand tall, not in spite of what you've been through, but because of it. Because nothing is more powerful than someone who has turned their pain into wisdom and their wounds into light. There's a moment in every emotionally intelligent person's journey where they're forced to make a choice, not between right and wrong, but between staying in a toxic environment or walking away with their dignity intact. It's one of the hardest things to do. Because walking away doesn't always feel like winning. In fact, it often feels like losing connection, losing history, losing the comfort of the familiar. But emotionally intelligent people have learned that staying in a toxic space out of fear, guilt, or obligation is far more
Them
costly
rickety
than letting go.
vans, them buses,
The truth is, not
them charter
everything needs
buses.
closure.
When
Not
the
every
train
situation will
stations
offer a
here
neat,
in
satisfying ending.
downtown been already
Sometimes
fixed,
people
if it
won't
was the same
apologize.
problem, why is it taking longer to fix in our neighborhoods?
They won't admit their part. They won't
Why is the
understand.
train taking so long to
And
fix? We got
emotionally
places to
intelligent
be.
people don't wait for that. But they don't need external validation to be wrong. They create their own approval. They don't need the
You want to know what I
peace
gotta
image
say?
from someone else's.
Jersey City is so
They reclaim their
diverse.
power by choosing to walk
So
away.
why do we
Peace,
treat
not
black
bitterness.
people the way we
That
do?
distinction matters.
Oh, we need a
Because
medic.
bitterness keeps you tethered
Right
to the
here.
very thing you're trying to escape. It fuels the story. It keeps the wound open. It plays on a loop in your mind. What they did, what they said, how it felt. And every time you replay it, you give it more energy than it deserves. But peace breaks that cycle. Peace is when you decide, I don't need to understand them. I just need to understand what's healthy for me. Peace is saying, this is no longer mine to fix. Emotionally intelligent people understand that forgiveness isn't about excusing the toxic behavior. It's about releasing the grip it has on your nervous system. It's about choosing healing over hatred. Not because the other person deserves it, but because you do. Because you deserve to wake up free. Free from resentment. Free from mental replays. Free from the emotional hangover that comes from holding on to what's already gone. But let's be real. This kind of emotional strength doesn't happen overnight. It's not some enlightened moment where everything suddenly feels easy. It's a process. A daily decision. Sometimes it means reminding yourself every morning why you walked away. Sometimes it means breathing through the anger that still flares up. Sometimes it means grieving what you thought it could have been. and still choosing not to go back. You might be surprised to learn that emotionally intelligent people still feel tempted to return, to defend themselves, to get the last word, to prove they were right. That's normal. But what they've trained themselves to ask is this: is this worth my peace? Most of the time, the answer is no. Because you eventually learn that peace isn't passive, it's active. It takes discipline. It takes restraint. It takes restraint. And most of all, it takes self-respect. We often hear people say, I'll let it go. But emotionally intelligent people do more than that. They let it go with intention. They process the experience. They honor their feelings.